Right now at noon, new details have emerged about the suspected shooters yesterday's Kansas City Chiefs parade, and we hear how the victims are recovering.
Plus, we're keeping an eye on a slightly cooler day out there for us with some big changes on the horizon. We'll take a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, a major announcement regarding the takeover of one local hospital.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KOAM News at Noon. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. We begin today's broadcast with an update on Wednesday's mass shooting that occurred at the Super Bowl victory parade for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, during yesterday's noon show, we were live with KOAM's crew who were at the parade and rally in Kansas City. We are grateful to report no one from our staff was injured during the shooting, and they have all returned safely. And more than 20 people are recovering from wounds following the shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Police have detained 3 suspects, 2 of them juveniles, as they investigate the violence that left 1 person dead and 9 children with gunshot wounds. Brian Locke reports from Kansas City, Missouri.
Investigators are searching for a motive behind the deadly shooting that erupted yesterday as the Chiefs' victory celebration was wrapping up.
Preliminary investigative findings have shown there was no nexus to terrorism or homegrown violent extremism. This appeared to be a dispute between several people that ended in gunfire.
Popular local radio DJ Lisa Lopez Galvan was killed by the gunfire. A friend described the mother of 2 as a wonderful, beautiful person full of life.
It's just crazy. We're all still in shock right now.
Jacob Gooch Sr. was hit with a gunshot. So were his wife and son. He heard what he describes as an altercation. His daughter saw a shooter open fire.
My daughter said that some lady was like holding him back and people had started backing up, and then he pulled it out and just started shooting and spinning in a circle.
Several bystanders, including Paul Contreras, helped subdue one potential suspect.
I got the gun. As I'm tackling him, I either hit the gun out of his hand or it fell out of his sleeve.
All the Chiefs players who had been celebrating on stage were quickly rushed to safety. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes posted a message praying for Kansas City. Kansas City's mayor has a message for people struggling to cope. He says it's okay to be hurting today, and he urges everyone to hug their children. For CBS News, Brian Locke, Kansas City.
And investigators are interviewing scores of eyewitnesses, reviewing cell phone videos, and collecting gun shell casings. They'll set up a tip line as they work to reconstruct the crime scene and move toward filing charges. The Kansas City Police Department provided an update on Wednesday's shooting after the Chiefs' Super Bowl parade. Police said 1 person died and 22 people suffered a gunshot wound in a shooting Wednesday afternoon, just after the Chiefs parade and rally ended at Union Station. Now, Children's Mercy Hospital confirmed it was treating 12 patients, 11 of whom were children. Hospital officials said all of the children are expected to recover and none of their injuries were critical. Their ages range from 6 to 15. The hospital stated that 9 of those patients have gunshot wounds. University Health Truman Medical Center officials said it was treating 8 gunshot victims, 2 of whom are in critical condition. 4 other people were treated for non-gunshot injuries. And the Kansas City Police Department stated that 3 armed people were taken into custody for more investigation. The Kansas City Police Department has established a tip line dedicated to obtaining information regarding the shooting. The number is 816-413-3477. Anyone who witnessed the shooting or has video has been asked to contact investigators. And we spoke to a Kansas City resident who was inside the Union Station and shared her experience. Giovanna Klepper was in Las Vegas last week watching the Chiefs and celebrating the Super Bowl. Yesterday was supposed to be another day of celebrations for her husband, who works for the Chiefs, and all the fans. Klepper told KOAM's Fernanda Silva she lived moments of a horror movie.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you were feeling in that moment?
I thought we were gonna die, everyone, to be honest. I knew we need to find a way to get out there. But the feeling inside of me was like, oh my gosh, everyone was so happy. 10 seconds ago, everyone was partying. And then it's terrifying. It's terrible.
Now turning to local news, a major announcement occurred this morning. Mercy will be taking over Via Christi Hospital in Pittsburgh, Kansas. The agreement transfers ownership of Ascension Via Christi Hospital in Pittsburgh, its locations, and its related physician practices from Ascension to Mercy. A media release from Mercy states that the transition will sustain and improve access to care for patients in Pittsburgh and the surrounding communities. Mercy currently operates 2 hospitals in Kansas, Mercy Hospital Columbus and Mercy Specialty Hospital Southwest Kansas, and 2 primary care clinics.
Yeah, we've had ourselves a bit of a cooler day out there, but it's still above average by a little bit. Skywatch Storm Tracker earlier this morning showing some clouds rolling in, so we're getting those partly to mostly cloudy skies, and partly cloudy will kind of be the theme for us for today. Taking a look across the country, you can see a big winter storm out in the Rockies and into the northwest, stretching all the way into South Dakota, Nebraska, and even parts of western Iowa. Thankfully, that's not impacting us right now, but we will see some impacts from that system as we head into our Friday. MoDOT camera this morning, 20th and Rangeline, again showing some of those increasing clouds earlier today. Otherwise, not bad. Same from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. Some of those increasing clouds, but otherwise not too bad. We started yesterday at 38, so 10 degrees above average, and made it to 67, so 17 degrees above normal, but still about 9 degrees shy of a record high. And of course, don't forget, anytime you're not near your TV or your favorite streaming device, you can download the KOAM Skywatch weather app and keep updated on all the day's latest weather out there. We're going to have a complete look at your forecast, talk about those changes on the way as we head into Friday and the much colder but seasonable temperatures here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Kansas Humane Societies are advocating to update the wording in the Kansas Pet Animal Act. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
House Bill 2542 is proposing a change in the wording of the Kansas Pet Animal Act, which was enacted 35 years ago. The act regulates the care of licensed pet animal agencies for companion animals. The last change to the Kansas Pet Animal Act was in 2017.
We have been working with stakeholders from every part of the industry for many months to try to make sure that we've got a good bill that just updates the act and continues to make sure that we have really good pet animal health and safety here in Kansas.
Currently, the act requires facilities to have adequate care for companion animals. Kansas animal advocates are trying to add the word continuous to the act.
That's a big word change, right? So a good example of how that word change would affect shelters, rescues, and breeders for wintertime, right? So if you put out a pail of water and it freezes in 30 minutes, that dog does not have access to water.
Jasmine Cowell, along with other animal advocates, testified at the first hearing for House Bill 2542.
And it breaks our hearts, especially when you go to a site and that dog, is so dehydrated because it didn't have water because it was in an outside kennel and the water froze. And that person is stating, well, I gave them water a few hours ago.
The bill still has a ways to go before the change is enacted. It hasn't yet passed the House and will still need to get Senate approval.
So we're still very early on in the process, and the hearing yesterday was just a good discussion with all of the stakeholders and legislators about what the agency and what the stakeholders have been discussing now for a few months.
Animal activists say this bill will help protect some furry friends like these. Reporting, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Kansas Department of Agriculture says updating wording to acts keeps them to date with industry standards. And that's a look at today's top stories and weather in the 4 states region. Up next on KOAM News at Noon. A New York judge denies former President Donald Trump's request to dismiss criminal charges related to a hush money payment. We'll have the details on what went down in the courtroom this morning. And later, we're making razzle-dazzle root beer pork in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Stay tuned. A New York judge denied former President Donald Trump's request to dismiss criminal charges related to a hush money payment and said jury selection would proceed as scheduled on March 25th, delivering a blow to Trump's efforts to delay what is set to be the first trial of any former president in U.S. history. Trump attended a pretrial hearing Thursday in the case, which involves the circumstances surrounding a payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels in 2016. A grand jury voted to indict Trump on March 30th, 2023, charging him with 34 felony counts of falsification of business records. Trump has denied wrongdoing and pleaded not guilty. He has repeatedly accused Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg of pursuing the case for political gain. Judge Juan Merchant denied Trump's motion to dismiss the charges at the beginning of the hearing. He told the court, quote, "At this point, I can inform you that we're moving ahead with jury selection on March 25th, end quote. He later said he expected the trial to last about 6 weeks. Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, we see what's cooking with Mr. Food.
Do you like your root beer topped with a big scoop of ice cream? I know I do, but today we're showing you a new way to enjoy it, and boy is it tasty.
But first, we're talking about some colder temperatures and maybe even a little bit of light snow as we head into our Friday. We'll have another look at that forecast when the KOAM News at Noon returns. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So taking a look at the MoDOT camera, 20th and range line from earlier this morning. Got kind of cloudy out there, and that's going to be kind of theme. We're looking at partly cloudy skies in general, but some of us may be mostly cloudy from time to time, as was the case even from our camera on top of the Cornell complex in downtown Joplin. You can see where those clouds rolled in. And still breezy, but those winds dying off at least for now before they pick back up again for us on our Friday. So for the rest of today, again, not going to be too bad. We'll have those clouds here and there. And overnight tonight, as you saw about 1 o'clock in the morning, heading into the start of the KOAM morning news at 5, we are going to start to see increasing showers across the area. We're also going to hit early highs on Friday as temperatures are gradually going to fall back through the day. The good news is, thankfully, they don't plummet, but they do start to get a little colder out there. So as you can see by 9 up by Yates Center in Chanute, we start to see this rain transitioning to a wintry mix and perhaps even some light snow. Now, as we head into the afternoon, Future Track is still showing some light snow out there, but I think a lot of this won't be hitting the ground. And the good news is we're not looking at any significant accumulations. In fact, the latest snow model showing a dusting, maybe an inch at best, and even that is going to be relatively isolated. The other side of this, though, is the much colder temperatures. Take a look as we head into the evening hours and then overnight and into Saturday morning. Look at how much colder it gets across the area. So as for the rest of today, again, we're looking at mid-50s, some of us upper 50s, some of us low 50s, but still a bit above average out there. East breeze around 5 to 10 miles an hour with those partly cloudy skies across the region. Clouds increasing tonight, southeast breeze 5 to 10, and then as mentioned, the rain will build in late tonight or very early tomorrow morning, depending on what your sleep schedule is like, and we're looking at lows back to the low 40s, and then we'll have the rain and snow mix for some of us. Some of us down south, especially south of I-44, may remain warm enough that you don't see much of a wintry mix at all. It may stay mainly rain, but still, nonetheless, watch out for slick spots heading into the afternoon and evening commutes across the area. And again, early highs in the upper 40s, gradually falling throughout the day. And the other side of that, too, is the wind. Take a look at that. North at 15 to 20 with gusts to 30. So as temperatures drop, even when the precip wraps up, it's going to feel a lot colder out there. And we're dropping back into the 20s for us by Friday night and even Saturday night. So below normal for our highs on Saturday. But the good news is this little taste of winter, even though we are still technically in winter, this little taste of it doesn't last long. By Sunday, we're back into the mid-50s, upper 50s Monday. And as we head in Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, and even toward the end of next week, temperatures now upper 60s out there. And then we do see an opportunity for some rain by Thursday and Friday of next week. That does bring temperatures down just a little bit, but not too bad though, as we fall back in the low to mid 50s by next Friday and Saturday. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, stick around because we're making razzle dazzle root beer pork in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. We'll be right back. It's time to check in with Howard in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Now, root beer has been a beloved drink for generations. But did you know you can use it as a secret ingredient when cooking meat? This succulent razzle-dazzle root beer pork has explosive sweet flavor the whole family will love. Take a look.
About a century ago, root beer was considered to be a cure-all, sort of how many people feel about CBD today. It was touted as a remedy that could reduce inflammation, cleanse our skin, and even help with blood flow. The ingredient credited for all these benefits was the root of the sassafras plant, hence the name root beer. These days, rather than buying in a pharmacy like many of our grandparents had to do, we can find it just about anywhere. And since it has such a big, bold taste, it's the perfect addition to the dish we're making today. We start by searing a seasoned pork butt until all sides are browned. And you can do this in a skillet or your pressure cooker if it has that option. Now we place this on a rack in an Instant Pot or pressure cooker along with a mixture we made by combining some chili sauce, Worcestershire sauce, hot pepper sauce, and a bottle of root beer. After securing the lid, we set the timer for 1 hour and let it do its thing. Once the pressure has released, we chunk it up and serve it with some cornbread smothered with all that flavor-packed sauce. To get the recipe for our Razzle Dazzle root beer pork, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a flavor-packed way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
And to find this recipe, along with many others, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on Mr. Food. Now here's a look at the 4th State market prices.
All right, again, a little cooler today, but still a bit warmer than average. Mid-50s out there, increasing clouds. We'll see that wintry mix tomorrow. Early highs in the upper 40s, gradually falling through the day. Again, no major accumulations, but do watch out for slick spots, especially as we head into the afternoon and evening commutes on our Friday. Colder on Saturday, and then we'll go mid-50s Sunday, upper 50s Monday, and back to the upper 60s by next Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, and Dow, what do you have for us?
A whole lot coming up at 5. For starters, imagine putting together a home like with Legos. Now think of an entire apartment complex. Well, one Florida company has done just that and is looking to expand. A fascinating story. Plus, we're going to have more as Via Christi in Pittsburgh is transferred from Ascension to Mercy Health. And the Lowell Milken Center in Port Scott honors an unsung hero, one of the founders of ragtime and jazz. Hope you join us for those stories, a lot more, of course. It's coming up today. KOAM News at 5.
Absolutely, and we're going to have up-to-date details on any new developments that happen with the shooting up in Kansas City at the parade.
Of course.
Yes. So that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us on KOAM News at Noon. Have a great rest of your day.